This is In the Zone by Chris Josh, and today I'll be talking about the 10 pillars of an unstoppable mindset. Now, I'm going to be breaking this up into 2 episodes, so let's get into it. The first pillar, and this is all according to me and my experience, the first pillar is the cessation of complaining. I talk about this all the time in my books, on social media. This is one of the most important things if you want to develop an unstoppable mindset. Because think about it. Complaining uses up a lot of your brain resources. You're wasting your time thinking about what should have happened, what could have happened, or how this person betrayed me, or whatever the case is. You're going around complaining to your girlfriend, your boyfriend, husband, wife, mother, father, friends, and that's valuable time. Time is your most valuable resource. And people wonder how some people excel in life and other people don't. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. What do you do with your 24 hours? You sleep 8 hours, hopefully. You go to work. Maybe you work out. But what do you do with the rest of your time? Are you brainstorming? Maybe trying to come up with something that provides the world with value? Or are you just complaining in your own mind? That's another thing. It's not only about complaining to other people, but it's also about complaining to yourself within your own mind. So let's look at it this way. Person A has 2 hours of free time. Person B has the same 2 hours of free time. Person A is using that time productively to create. Maybe it's a side hustle, maybe it's a whole new business altogether, or even maybe they're working on a hobby that fulfills them. Person B is sitting on the couch or laying down in bed, all depressed, complaining about how crappy life is and how this person didn't call them back and reflecting on the day and, maybe someone didn't say hi back to them and that ruins their entire day. When you get rid of the complaining mindset, you free up so much time and brain resources. Think of your mind as a computer. If you have 100 browsers open, you're using up the computer's RAM and processor speed, etc. And you can't really do much more than that. So likewise, if you fill up your mind with complaining, it has no resources to create ideas, right? So that's the first pillar, cessation of complaining. And I promise you, once you get rid of the complaining, things are going to turn around almost immediately. And the people closest to you will recognize this about you, and they may even be fearful of you because they're thinking to themselves, well, wait a minute. How come this person isn't complaining anymore? You're going to appear stronger in the eyes of everyone. You're going to have a certain look to your face that commands respect. As opposed to the complainer mindset, people can tell, life is beating you down. So that's number 1. That's the first pillar. According to me, Chris Josh, everyone, might have a different list, especially high achievers of the world. Number 2, okay, and I'm going to be talking about 5 pillars on this podcast, and I'll talk about pillars number 6 through 10 on the next podcast. So the second pillar is unconditional patience. What is unconditional patience? It's a lot like unconditional love, except we're talking about patience. This to me is one of the greatest pillars to having an unstoppable mindset. When you have unconditional patience, you're engaging your patience 24 hours a day. You're not waiting for something to happen for you to engage it. Because when you do that, things can throw you off. Things can piss you off. Things can get you all worked up. And what ends up happening is you lose valuable time again, right? But when you're patient 24 hours a day, nothing will shock you. You can be in an alleyway at night, midnight, and someone will walk up to you from behind and you won't even be startled because you're engaged in that unconditional patience. And unconditional patience is great for delayed gratification, right? In this day and age, everything is at our fingertips and we all want results ASAP, right? And when we're working on a big goal, that's especially true. And a lot of times when we set a new goal, we set unrealistic expectations as to how quickly we could accomplish it. So what ends up happening is a lot of people try to finish that goal on the first day because they just want to get it over with and see the results. But you have to be more realistic. Some goals may take 2 days to complete, a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, 5 years. It all depends. So having unconditional patience will help you so much in your goal setting and accomplishments. It will help you in all areas of your life. Okay? When you are able to just sink into your body and just relax, you will see how things just work out for you. Like situations will resolve themselves almost instantly. So that's a great practice to have. Unconditional patience. Not being in a hurry all the time. Taking things easy while being productive. Okay? Having unconditional patience doesn't mean you sit around doing nothing. It simply means you are not in a rush to do everything. You're not multitasking. Okay? You're not putting the pedal to the metal, right? So that's the second pillar of having an unstoppable mindset. All right, let's take a little break here with 10 random fun facts. Number 1, the heart of a blue whale weighs about 400 pounds and is the size of a small car. My goodness, that's crazy. Number 2, cats have 32 muscles in each ear. These muscles give cats incredible control over their ear movements, allowing them to detect the faintest sounds. Number 3, firefighters use wetting agents. Water mixed with certain chemicals can make it wetter, helping it spread and absorb heat more efficiently during firefighting. Number 4, there's a town in Norway with no sun for 2 months. If you get the blues in the winter, Norway is not for you. Mirrors are used to reflect sunlight into the town called Arjuken during the winter months when the sun doesn't rise. Number 5, sea otters hold hands while they sleep. All right, if you don't like your partner, all over you during the night, be grateful you're not an otter. Sea otters link paws to keep from drifting apart while resting on the water's surface. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Imagine you're sleeping on the surface of the water and you drift apart from your wife, and maybe that's a good thing, who knows? Number 6, a shrimp's heart is in its head. Isn't that crazy? Specifically, it's located in the thorax, which is covered by the head shell of the shrimp. Fun fact number 7. Pineapples take 2 years to grow. From planting to harvesting, it takes about 2 years for a single pineapple to reach full maturity. Number 8. Elephants can recognize themselves in mirrors. So that's pretty interesting. They have some self-awareness. They are one of the few species that can pass the mirror test, demonstrating self-awareness. That's pretty cool. Number 9. This is weird. The Eiffel Tower can grow taller. Wow, I never knew that. Due to thermal expansion, the Eiffel Tower can grow up to 6 inches taller in the summer heat. And last but not least, number 10, the dot over a lowercase I and J has a name. It's called a tittle. No, guys, not the thing inside of a bra. It helps distinguish the letters from similar shapes. And that's it for the 10 random fun facts. Let's get back into the episode. Number 3, this is one of my favorite ones, is gratitude. Having the attitude of gratitude is by far, it might be the greatest thing you can do for yourself, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Because having an attitude of gratitude, it frees up your mental resources, right? It's the opposite of complaining. And that makes sense, right? I said before, complaining wastes your time, and being that gratitude is essentially the opposite. It not only helps you with your time, but in a way, it creates time. And you will see once you practice gratitude on a daily basis, you'll wonder how you're able to get everything done right on time. And it always seems like you have more time to complete everything on your to-do list. So I have a meditation, which I call the gratitude meditation. And I simply put one hand over my chest or your heart, and then I'll put the other hand over the first hand, and I'm laying down in bed. I take about 10 slow, deep breaths in and out, and then I begin. I list a bunch of things I'm grateful for. You can start out with 10 things. I'm grateful that I am grateful is a great one. Okay? I am grateful I am who I am. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for my brain, for my job, for my business, for my car, for the food, for the water, for my shoes, my clothes. There are so many things to be grateful for. And at the beginning, when you're starting out this practice, you may be repulsed. You may think this is a waste of time. You might even think it's corny. But I promise you, it's going to boost your energy. It's going to allow you to enjoy life once and for all. Okay? If you look at some people out there who have had incredible financial success, some of them are still not happy and they want more money. Now, I have to put this out there. I am not anti-materialistic. I am materialistic to a certain degree because it's important. You know, after all, I'm a human being, right? I need a place to stay. I need a car. You know, I need my basics. But I also like to balance it out with spirituality, with gratitude, with self-love, unconditional love. But there are some people out there that no matter how much they have, they're not happy. And I can guarantee it's because they're not grateful for the little things. Or let me rephrase that. Years ago, they weren't grateful for the little things. So when they got the big things, they didn't develop the habit of gratitude. So it's not easy for them to be grateful for anything because they always envisioned that more money is going to make them feel fulfilled, whole, and complete. And when they reached their monetary goals, that didn't happen, right? So the best of both worlds is having an attitude of gratitude for the little things. Look at your thumb. Your thumb is so important. And that's just one little limb on your body, right? Without the thumb, there's so many things we won't be able to do. So in your gratitude meditation, it's good to say, I am grateful for my thumbs, right? So the best of both worlds is being financially successful, but also balancing it out with your spiritual side and always having an attitude of gratitude and unconditional love. Now, unconditional love doesn't mean you go around, kissing people and, kissing up to them. Doesn't mean that. It just means that no matter what is happening, you love life. You love to exist. And that includes yourself. You love yourself. You love everything within life, which means other people, the animals, insects, the objects, everything. Okay? So gratitude is the third pillar of an unstoppable mindset. This right here frees up your mental resources, which allows you to perform on a much higher level. The fourth pillar is detachment. This is very important because when you detach, again, you're not wasting your resources on whatever it is you were attached to. Okay, you disengage. You could even detach not only from your circumstances, things that happen to you that you wish they didn't happen to you, but you could also detach from suffering, from pain. And this gives you the edge. When you could detach from suffering and pain, you can go the extra distance. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have something serious going on, make sure you talk to a professional like a doctor, okay? But if you have some pain in your legs and you're running, but your leg is not broken or your legs are not broken, and you detach from the pain, you will have an advantage over the other people in the race, okay? And I remember years ago when I started weightlifting again. So I've been weightlifting on and off since I was 12 years old. I started weightlifting the summer before high school. I joined the freshman football team and we would go to the weight room and work out. So I would work out on and off throughout my life. And the last time I started working out was in March of 2021. And I started working out with a fractured arm. So I had fractured my arm, which I talk about in my book, City of Serpents. I was in a hospital. Someone in the hospital fractured my arm. So that was in November of 2020. And I didn't wear a sling or a cast. So come March 2021, my arm was still as if it was just fractured. And I hadn't been working out. I was feeling frustrated. And so at that time, I was living at the bottom of a hill. And I decided it was a very steep hill. It's like if you lean back a little bit, it's almost like you're going to fall back. And it's the size of a New York Avenue. It was a pretty long block. So I would sprint up the hill as fast as I could with my fractured arm. The vibrations were killing me. Every little vibration was being sent to my arm, and there was incredible pain, but I would detach from the pain. I would almost unplug my mind from my arm, if that makes any sense. So I would do this for 4 cycles, run up, take a little rest up at the top, walk around a little bit, walk down, run up again. And I would do this for 4 cycles. And this was in the spring, right? And in the spring here in northern New Jersey, we can get snowstorms in April. So I thought to myself, this isn't really ideal running outside. It's going to rain one day. It's going to snow one day. What can I do? So I remembered burpees from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I went back home and I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I even going to do a push-up? Because my arm is a wreck. So I went down to try to do one push-up. I pushed as hard as I could. I pushed and I kept pushing and I kept pushing. And I maybe came up a third or halfway up and then I collapsed. It was unbearable. As much as I tried to detach, I could not push up. I felt like my arm was going to snap. Next day, I gave it another chance or another shot. And thankfully, I was able to do one. So anyways, I started doing burpees, even with a fractured arm. 6 months later, my arm was still in bad shape. It might have healed 10% from the day I fractured it, and I started weightlifting. Every pressing move felt like there was a knife stabbing me in my arm, and all I can do was detach. And because of detaching, it minimized the sensation of pain. And this allowed me to do all my workouts 6 days a week consistently. So detaching is a very, very important part of having an unstoppable mindset. And finally, the 5th one, and remember, I have 10 pillars, but for this podcast, I'm listing the first 5. So the 5th pillar is acceptance of your reality. This kind of ties back to cessation of complaining, right? This is where you stop resisting life. You stop resisting what has already happened. You just come to terms with your entire past and your present moment. You are not worried anymore. You are not depressed anymore. Because when you accept your reality, that really removes a lot of the anger you have. So according to psychologists, depression is underlying anger. So think about it. A lot of times you're depressed. Maybe it's finances, right? Maybe it's relating to a relationship. And as adults, especially, men, right? But women as well, we're expected to just deal with it. And the best way we know how to deal with it is to just try to forget about it. We don't talk about it, and we just swallow our tongues and hope it'll go away. But of course it doesn't, because it wants to express itself. Anger, frustration, being upset, all of those emotions want to come to surface and be expressed. But you're suppressing them, and it's giving you the feeling of depression. So this is for another podcast, but you would have to heal yourself from these situations of the past. And I will talk about that on a future podcast. But acceptance of your reality allows you to shift your focus to the present, right? Whereas if you're resisting life in general, you're not okay with what happened, now your mind is preoccupied with the past, right? That's all you're thinking about. And you're ruminating over it, and it's taken away from time that you could be spending on producing value or creating something that will benefit people and yourself, and you get paid for it. So how do you accept your reality? You just accept it. You just say, screw it. This is what happened. You really have to have this talk with yourself and just say, I give up, right? And I'm not saying you give up on life. I'm saying you give up on rumination. I give up trying to change the past because you can't change it. That's really what it's all about. You're thinking about it, wishing it was different. You need to come to terms with the logic here. You can't change what already happened, right? You could, however, make up a past. You could focus on the positive aspects of your past, right? Shift your focus to the happy memories and resolve the past by healing it, which I'll talk about in a future podcast. I do also talk about this in my book, City of Serpents. But you just have to say, I give up. I can't change the past. Whatever happened, I know it was meant to happen because it taught me a lot of lessons. And, life is a school. It's a training program. And without these experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. So for an unstoppable mindset, it's very important that you have a clear mind, right? You don't let a virus stay and preoccupy your mind like an unhappy past, right? So once again, I'm going to recap the first 5 of the 10 pillars of an unstoppable mindset. And these are the 5 I talked about in this podcast. Number 1, cessation of complaining. Stop complaining. Number 2, unconditional patience. Number 3, gratitude. Number 4, detachment. Number 5, acceptance of your reality. And that's it for podcast number 1. Once again, my name is Chris Josh, and this is In the Zone.